Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, do men lie to women just to get laid or just for sex? Got an email here from a woman, and she says, hey, Coach, she says, I would appreciate if you could do a video geared towards women. I was like, I do quite a bit, actually. I think my audience is about 14% women. The rest is 95% on YouTube, and it's just, if I get good questions, I'm happy to answer them. And so she says, here's an example. I dated this guy for a very brief period of time. We were both on the rebound. However, he told me things like we were going to fall in love and how much he liked me. These comments made me think he was into me, and I let my guard down. Big mistake, because when I did, he wanted to rethink us. Why in the hell did he do this? Well, like I say all the time, you got to love the other person in such a way that they feel free. And who knows, maybe when you guys went out for a period of time, he thought that things were going to work out. But at the end of the day, here's what we do. Men and women both are guilty of this. We're both guilty of projecting our high level of interest and attraction for the other person onto them. And so we assume that they feel the same way. And if you were to think about your time with this particular guy, you would obviously know and notice and remember that there were times where you saw that his actions and his words were not congruent. And there was probably a first time where you noticed that, but you just kind of like brushed it under the, it's not a big deal. He just maybe had an off day. And then it's like you see those things and it's like, one after another happens, one red flag after another, and it's like you just keep ignoring it because at the end of the day, you're focused on what you feel towards the other person and not so much being able to remain objective and notice whether or not the other person that you're dating or in a relationship with is actually making the same level of effort. And the reason that we do that is because deep down, we really don't feel that we deserve that other person. And so when we see signs that show that there's a red flag or that, hey, that person's really not, their words aren't really reflecting their actions, we just kind of ignore that and go, oh, no, it's not a big deal. Or the guy, like, I just did a video called Cognitive Dissonance. We basically see what we want to see. We bullshit ourselves into believing that things are better than they are. And the way that you want to be towards life is that you don't want to see things in life as worse than they are or better than they are. You want to see things as they really are. And that's what we tend to do. Very positive, optimistic people tend to look at things when things are going to hell in a handbasket and see the best in it, which is great and it's helpful. But we can also be guilty at the same time of ignoring things that are a real problem until it's too late because we're overly positive and we're overly optimistic that things are going to change or that thing that's a problem will just kind of go away or that employee that we got that we kind of think is robbing us or stealing us blind or that's really not producing at the level they really need to be. When we keep that person, we let them continue working for us for 6 months or longer after we realize that we really need to be firing them, inviting them to go work somewhere else. When you finally get around to firing that person, it's only then that you realize how much happier your employees are that that person is no longer on the team because A players don't like to tolerate having B and C players on the team. And you don't realize how badly that person affected morale or how badly that person, their shitty attitude, inhibited you accomplishing the vision and the goals that you had set for your company or for your employees or for the people that are directly under your leadership. And so he says, these comments made me think that he was into me and I let my guard down. Big mistake because when I did, he wanted to rethink us. Why in the hell did he do this? And after that, it was over. He ended up with someone else who did not hold a candle to me. And at least I have the satisfaction. Why do many men lie to make you think one thing when clearly it is not? What is the point in that? Well, us guys, at the end of the day, we tend to be visual creatures. And some women tend to complain. They say, well, that's all we ever think about. Well, when we see a pretty girl, I'll give you an example. Like the state football championship with all the colleges, I should say, the collegiate championship between Alabama and I can't even think of who it was the other night that played. Oh, Notre Dame. They just got fucking totally blown out. Well, the quarterback of Alabama has this absolutely stunning girlfriend, and I think she's won the Miss Alabama pageant. So during the game, the announcers panned over to her, and they were just struck by how beautiful this particular woman happened to be. And so they commented on it, and obviously now these broadcasters had to come out and apologize, which I think is a bunch of fucking bullshit anyways. But, I mean, at the end of the day, some NFL players said some pretty rude things on Twitter, like tweeting their phone numbers and stuff to the girl. I mean, she's gorgeous. She's a goddess. I mean, more power to A.J. McCarron, who's the, much respect, dude. He's a fucking stud. He's a captain of the football team. He's a quarterback. He's dating Miss Alabama. And he's obviously got his shit together because he wouldn't be dating a woman like that if he was a beta male. And so much respect to him for the fact that he's got an awesome, gorgeous woman in his life. But the thing is that us guys, we see that. We see a woman like that. I personally see a woman like that, and right away you can't help but think, wow, oof, what a beautiful woman. You get a check out of her body, or you get a screenshot of her body by the announcers, and they're talking about her, and you can't help but agree, and the thoughts pop in there, and I was like, I'm not going to lie, we think about those things. And when we really want something from somebody, it's like sometimes it's like you go into salesmanship mode, and it's like you want to hook up, you want to take it there, and you want the interaction you want to seduce the girl, or say you meet somebody and you have a great connection, or you're on a date and things are going really well, and you get caught up, you get swept up in the moment. And the thing that I would suggest to you that will help you to prevent something like this in the future is that the other thing you got to keep in mind is, like I mentioned earlier, the quote about you've got to love the other person in such a way that they feel free. That's one of the things that for guys in a relationship when you're dating a woman is that we have this innate fear that we're going to lose our freedom to be dangerous and to go after our purpose in life and to take risks and those type of things. And some women can come off and be smothering, just like a lot of guys that I talk about and answer emails from all the time. They can come off and be smothering. And so if you interact with a guy and you chase or you pursue too much and you don't notice that your over pursuit of him is turning him off because you're not reaching out because you're thinking about him and you miss him and you want to see him, it's more coming from the place of need, where you basically need validation. You need to know, or you need to hear that he still loves you, or that he still cares about her, that he still wants you, or that he still desires you. And so instead of just calling to be sweet and tell him that you were thinking about him, you're basically calling because you need romantic validation from him in order to feel good about yourself. And it's not bad at first, but when it goes on day after day, week after week, and your calls and your texts become a little excessive, it starts to turn us off, and we want to back away because we feel like we're getting smothered. It's the same exact thing. I'm sure you've had guys that you dated in the past that treated you like this. And like I said, the thing to look for is to always look at a person's actions. Because when you're totally head over heels in love with somebody, it blinds you. When you have a high level of attraction and you meet a girl and it's love at first sight, it's like hit all of her flaws and faults. You could see him, and he's like, it's like you just look right past them all. You just completely ignore them because you love that person. And human beings, we buy based upon emotion. We get into relationships, both men and women, based upon emotion, based upon what we feel, and we use logic and reason to justify our purchase. And so if we're head over heels in love with a person and they're not treating us the way they should be treating us if they really mutually cared about us, we'll tend to ignore that and just assume, or we'll cut them like way too much slack, and we'll notice that person slipping away. And when you see him slipping away, if you're coming from a place of neediness, the neediness will cause you to feel like you got to chase more, which causes the person to become less and less interested and less excited. They're less inclined to maintain a conversation when you're on a date, those kinds of things. And so you got to look at that. You got to notice that. You got to notice if the person that you're going out with, whether you're a woman or a guy, you got to notice and objectively look at your actions and say to yourself, did I come across as being needy? Is this person less excited to see me than they were a couple of days ago, or are they more excited? And if the answer is less excited, then you got to give them some space. You got to give them the space so they can feel free. In other words, feel like you're not going to smother them. And so if you're a woman watching this and a guy you're dating is kind of backing away, and he wasn't really that excited when you called him last, then don't call him for a couple of days. Back off for a couple of days. Or maybe wait to hear from him a little bit. Just to back off enough so you give him to the point where he starts to miss you and wonder what you're up to, and it's been 3 or 4 days, and so when he calls you, you're like, hey, baby, how are you? It's great to hear from you. He's like, hey, I hadn't heard from you in a few days. Oh, I've been really busy, but I definitely want to see you, sweetheart. And you tell him that and let him make a day with you. If he's a guy and he knows what he's doing, he'll obviously make a day because he'll be gently leading the interaction because he knows what he's fucking doing. And the same thing if you're a guy and the girl's getting a little flaky, a little distant, or like maybe you took her away for a 3-day weekend and she's kind of a little bitchy when you took her home and seemed like she wasn't really that appreciative. Give her some space. Wait to call her. Don't call her at all. Just say that, you know what, if I don't hear from her, I'll call her a week from now, because you want to give her the space. Maybe you acted a little bit needy, and women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. And guys too. It's like as human beings, we tend to want what we can't have in life. We tend to wonder about that person that we haven't heard from, as opposed to the 3 or 4 messages from other people that are like basically begging us to go and hang out with them. It's something to think about. But the key to always remember to make sure you don't get yourself in situations where you get jerked around, you get dumped unexpectedly, is to find a way to remain objective, and the best way to do that is to always look at the person's actions and match their actions and their words, and make sure their words and their actions are matching. And if they're not, maybe you need to back up, take a step back a little bit and hang back a little bit more and let the person do a little bit more pursuing. Typically, the healthiest relationships and interactions I've seen, not only personally in my life, but people that I've coached over the years or people that have married for a long time, 80% of the calling, texting, and pursuing is always initiated by the woman. And the very nature of feminine energy about opening up to receive love, bonding, those kinds of things, that's feminine energy. And that's why women tend to do that stuff way more than guys do. Masculine energy is about purpose, drive, mission, succeeding, accomplishing things in life. And that's why men tend to be focused on that. So it's always best 78% is initiated by the woman and 20% by the guy. And that will keep the girl head over heels in love. And it'll also keep to the point where the guy has enough space from the woman to also feel like he's not going to lose his freedom by being in a relationship. And that, there's, like I said, that's usually the best balance to keep for the two people to stay completely head over heels in love with one another. So if you have a question you want to ask me, go to my website, click the Contact Me tab, which will be on the left-hand side of your screen. Send me 1 to 2 paragraphs max, and just give me several weeks to get back to you with a response. If you want to talk to me right away, the quickest way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session. You can do that by going to my website, click the Products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions. If you want to get a digital version of my Kindle ebook, on my website, underneath the email sign-up box, is a box that has a link that will take you right to the Amazon Kindle download page for my book. Once you get there, if you don't have a Kindle device, just download one of their free e-reader apps for whatever electronic device you want to read my book on. And if you appreciate the value of the information I offer in these video newsletters, the articles on my website, or my ebook, you can show your appreciation right now by going to my website, and on the Wibiya toolbar at the bottom of your screen, click the PayPal donate button and donate any amount that you feel is equal to the value of the information. And I will talk to you soon.